Welcome to episode 679 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games. And it's a solo episode for me this week. It's really kind of a crazy week on my part, and I think for Richard too. So hopefully next week we will be back to a somewhat normal episode, but definitely a lot in the news. So we wanted to make sure to get an episode out for you this week. We also do have a really great question from listener Anthony, but we're going to wait until next week because it's a fun question that he wrote in for both Richard and I. So we'll go through that one next week, but thanks for sending that in. If you would like to send in feedback, whether it be questions or comments on things that we've discussed, our email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. So let's jump right into this with some video news. So starting off this week, we have news from DirecTV. They are making some changes to their DirecTV stream service. This is their online streaming video service. It's like a cable replacement type service. And they're introducing something called Genre Packs. Now, you might remember that last month we talked about the Sports Pack that they had launched, and this is similar to that. Instead of it being a regular DirecTV stream package that would include, 80, 90, 100-ish channels across the spectrum, these are slimmed down packs of channels based on a few different types of categories. So the first genre pack is the My Entertainment pack, and then there's one for My News and one called Mi Español. That one's easy. It's a collection of over 50 channels that are Spanish language channels, and that one is $35 a month. So if all you're looking for is a collection of Spanish language channels, $35 a month gets it for you. And that seems like a pretty good deal to me. But the other two are where we're going to spend more of our time on this. So first, let's talk about the My Entertainment pack. This one is interesting. It's really trying to cater towards the people who are just looking for interesting TV to watch. They're not interested in sports. And so it's a lot of the channels that you're probably thinking of: Bravo, Discovery, Food, FX, HGTV, TLC, a lot of those, none of your local networks, and it includes Disney Plus and a Hulu Basic subscription. So you're also getting these extra streaming services from Disney and Hulu into this. And This My Entertainment pack is over 40 channels plus Disney Plus and Hulu, and it'll only cost $35 a month. And it's most of the channels that people want if they're not looking for sports. There's a couple of other channels, but first let me dig into this My News genre pack, because that one's a little bit interesting. It's a much smaller genre pack. It's got CNBC, CNN, Fox Business, Fox News, MSNBC, and Newsmax. Weird. So, it's basically got all of the major cable news networks that you're looking for. It also includes your local Fox affiliate, which is kind of cool. This is the only genre pack that really has the local affiliates, but it's only for Fox. And I'm sure that's some bundling contractual offer that or a requirement that Fox put on DirecTV to even include it in these services. So if all you care about is news, then maybe this is the pack. But it might not actually be, because just this news pack is $40 a month, and all you're getting are those news channels. I mentioned there's a few channels I left out of that My Entertainment pack. It includes CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. It's pretty much all, that's the three major cable news providers. Now, it doesn't have CNBC, it doesn't have Fox Business, so if you're looking at those more business and finance focused channels, it doesn't have that. But the My Entertainment Pack has the top 3 cable news channels, in addition to all of probably most of the regular channels that you're looking for watching your HGTV, and like HGTV and TLC are the ones that always seem to be the most common. And you're getting Disney Plus and Hulu for $35 a month. So for $5 less a month, you're probably getting the news channels you want, plus a whole lot more stuff. And it's like, that actually seems like a really, really great deal. If you don't care about sports, I can't think of a better option for people than this, because it actually ends up being the least expensive option out there. We've talked about Sling TV as the go-to provider for these types of services if you're just looking to spend the least amount of money possible. And this comes in less than either of the Sling offerings, Sling Orange or Sling Blue or Sling Orange Plus Blue. It costs less than them. The main difference is it doesn't include sports. So if you don't care about sports, this My Entertainment Pack from DirecTV Stream seems like a no-brainer at all, especially if you're paying separately for Disney Plus and Hulu Basic. Those two things together are going to cost you about $20 a month. So when you consider that you're getting all of these channels for another $15 a month, it's a really fantastic deal. So I'm curious how many of you are interested in this pack, and if you're maybe paying $82 a month for YouTube TV or for Hulu Plus Live TV, or even just the regular DirecTV stream services around $80 a month now. Are you thinking about dropping down to $35 a month? Where I think this could also get interesting is whenever it is that ABC/Disney/ESPN does eventually release a standalone ESPN offering, if that's $20 a month and you could get this for $35 a month, that might cover most of what you're looking for if you're primarily watching sports on ESPN. So I'm very curious to watch this space, and I'm going to be really curious to see if any of the competitors follow suit with similar offerings, because there isn't really anything else like this in the space right now. And I think this My Entertainment Pack, it really hits that sweet spot if you're not looking for sports. So let us know what you think. We talked on last week's podcast that it looked like YouTube Premium Lite would finally be coming to the US, but there were still some question marks, especially around price and for sure what some of the features would be. And now we know almost everything. So it is official. YouTube Premium Lite is coming to the US. What does it mean? Well, it means a version of YouTube Premium that does not show you ads on regular content. The main differences between regular YouTube Premium and YouTube Premium Lite are that it doesn't include, that Lite does not include YouTube Music. It doesn't include background playback. So like if you're watching a YouTube video on your phone and want to turn your phone screen off or open a different app, you can't do that with YouTube Premium Lite, and you can't download videos on your mobile devices. So those are the main differences. And it means that you can still watch music videos on YouTube with YouTube Premium Lite, but they will have ads, whereas anything that isn't a music video, you're probably not going to have ads. So it is a very, very, very stripped down version of YouTube Premium. It is really just YouTube without ads. That's it. And maybe for most people, that's enough, especially if you are like me and you're using Spotify for your music, or you're using Apple Music or Amazon Music or any of the other services out there, then you don't need YouTube Music, which is really kind of the most expensive part of the YouTube Premium subscription. So it's just YouTube without ads, unless you're watching music videos, and it's $7.99 a month. That seems like I would have liked it to be $5 or $6 a month, but $8 a month I think is acceptable. There's one last detail that, as of me recording this on March 6th, we don't actually know, and that is when you can actually sign up for this thing, because I tried, it's not available yet. I'm going to guess it's going to be available by the time you're listening to this or within the next couple of days, because they've officially announced it. So it ought to be something that you can start giving them money for. So let us know. Are you going to sign up for this? Is $8 a month the right price to get YouTube without ads? The other question that I've certainly got that I think a lot of you will have too is, what about a family version? Can I include this in my family subscription and have it be split amongst, I believe all of Google's family sharing stuff is 6 accounts, maybe it's 5. That would be nice. And what does it cost? Because YouTube Premium does have a family offering. So let me know, YouTube, like, let's officially launch this thing and see if there's a family plan version of it. But even if not, I think a lot of you might be interested in paying the $8 to never watch YouTube ads, especially if you're pretty much only using one YouTube account on your television, because the ads on television devices, it's a lot of ads. Okay, one more video story for you this week. And this one is about a new show. Now, we don't normally talk about just, here's a new show, because there's too many shows for us to be talking about. But I think this one is interesting. So ESPN, what everybody knows ESPN for, outside of just showing sports, games, matches, whatever the individual sport calls them, is the show SportsCenter. Like, that is the turn it on in the morning or your background sports entertainment. And the show's been wildly popular for decades. And the only way to watch it is on ESPN. You have to have real ESPN. It's not on ESPN Plus. You have to be on regular ESPN through your cable provider or through one of these cable-like services like we talked about earlier with YouTube TV or DirecTV Stream, Hulu with live sports. They all have regular ESPN. But they're starting a new show this week, and it's called SportsCenter Plus. And it is a short, daily show that is only on streaming. It's not on ESPN. It's only on streaming. And the odd thing is, it's not on ESPN Plus. It's on Disney Plus. And part of that is not that unusual. Like, there's a lot of ESPN Plus content that you can watch inside of Disney Plus if you subscribe to both of them. This doesn't require ESPN Plus. All you need is Disney Plus. And every day there's a new episode of SportsCenter Plus. It airs live in the morning, but you can watch it on demand all day long. It's a much shorter version. SportsCenter is an hour-long show. This is like 10 minutes, less than 15 minutes most of the time. And it's largely focused around the top 10 plays of the day, which is probably a lot of people's favorite segment in the show anyway. So if you've got Disney Plus and you like sports at all, check it out, because it's kind of cool to have, and maybe it's a nice little thing to put on, in the morning or over your lunch break to catch up on everything that happened in sports the previous day. It's a pretty cool little offering. I'm just confused about why it's on Disney Plus. Time for a quick audio story. I'm not going to go super in depth on this, but there is a new set of Bluetooth earbuds that I wanted to briefly talk about because they're pretty interesting. So these are the Technics AZ100. These are top of the line premium Bluetooth in-ear buds. And with that means they have all of the features that you would expect. They have active noise cancellation. They have spatial audio with Dolby Atmos. And they are particularly focused on super high quality audio. Like, they're supposed to sound really, really good for listening to music. And you're going to pay for them. These are top of the line earbuds. They are $300 earbuds. You're getting a ton of features. And if listening to music on your earbuds is the most important thing, and you've got the gear to support it, you should consider these and at least click the link in the show notes to learn more about them. but they also are doing something that I haven't seen on any other Bluetooth earbuds, whether it's earbuds or headphones, anything. I've never seen this before. They have multi-point audio, which is like just multi-point is not new. Multi-point is the feature in Bluetooth headphones that allows those headphones to connect to two devices at the same time. And so most commonly, this is hooking your Bluetooth headphones up to your phone and probably your laptop. What's new here and what's different about these that I've never seen before is that they have multi-point audio that supports 3 devices. That's what I really want because I use 3 devices pretty regularly. I, of course, have my phone where I'm listening to podcasts all the time. I also have my laptop where I'm sometimes using them for music or for taking Zoom calls. But I also have my iPad, and I would like to use the same earbuds in all 3 devices, and I can't. I have to choose 2. And frankly, I've always wondered if, is there a limitation in the Bluetooth spec or something preventing this? Or is it more of just like a bandwidth and processing power sort of problem? It seems like it's more the latter because they're doing it, but they also point out that if you're going to be connected to 3 devices, if you're trying to use like the really high quality audio streaming, you probably want to disconnect from 1 or 2 of those devices. So it does consume more bandwidth, and consuming more bandwidth also means that it consumes more power. So your battery life will decrease when you're doing things like this. But man, I want this. I really, really want this. I really like my Pixel Buds Pro 2, but the multi-point is a little bit flaky, if I'm being honest, and they only connect to 2 devices. Do I want multi-point with 3 devices enough to give up my fairly new Pixel Buds Pro 2 to go and drop $300 on these? Probably not. But I'm hoping that this is a sign of things to come, and that as we continue to see new iterations of top-of-the-line Bluetooth earbuds, we will see this in more and more devices. Let's talk gaming. And let's start with a new PC gaming handheld. This one's got a weird name. It is from MSI. It is the Claw 8 AI Plus. Now, why you got to put AI Plus in the name of a gaming handheld? I don't know. It's probably some contractual obligation with Intel and or Microsoft. Because yes, this device is running an Intel processor and running Windows 11. And the Intel processor, that's pretty different. That is what has separated the MSI Claw devices from all of the other devices out there that we talk about all the time. The Legion Go and the Asus ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. Like, they all have different processors, and all of the other Windows ones have been using AMD processors, except for these ones from MSI. And MSI launched a version of their handheld with an Intel processor last year, and, well, it didn't really go all that well. There were a lot of driver issues and stuff, and it wasn't great. This one, they've fixed a lot of those issues. So, new processor, it's got an Intel Core Ultra 7 CPU. It's got a new display. It's a little bit bigger. It is an 8-inch display running at a 120 hertz refresh rate, and crucially, has variable refresh rate on that display also. This Intel Core Ultra 7 CPU is pretty powerful. It also comes packing 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. And again, another change from last year's model, it has 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. So you could use one for charging and one for a USB hub or USB-C to HDMI. Like, you have a lot of options there when you have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. It also has a bigger battery than the previous device. So what does that all mean? How does it compare to some of the other devices out there, especially the one that most people are comparing things to, the one that's kind of viewed as the go-to if you're not considering a Steam Deck? And that's the ROG Ally X, because the ROG Ally X has the AMD And that's because the ROG Ally X has the most recent and most powerful AMD processor, and it has a really big battery. So people look at that for both gaming performance and for battery life comparisons. And in terms of gaming performance, this combination of CPU and onboard, GPU plus RAM nets out to 10 to 15% better performance on games than the ROG Ally X. So it does perform better. On the hardware side, it's got Hall effect joysticks and triggers, so you're not going to have to worry about stick drift. Like, you're just going to have more accurate, more durable inputs through all of those. The one weird thing, it doesn't have a touchpad. Like, that would be kind of nice. I really like the touchpad on my Legion Go, but you can't, like, their software does allow you to use the joystick as mouse input. And that might be decent, but I don't know. It seems like it would feel a little bit weird. There are plenty of Xbox games out there that require you to use the joystick like a mouse cursor, and generally I don't like that experience, so I don't think it'd be great compared to having an onboard touchpad, but it is what it is. The one cool thing that it does have is a fingerprint sensor, so you don't have to type in a PIN, or even worse, type in a password with the on-screen keyboard to unlock this thing. You can just use your fingerprint. So decent performance here, really good battery life, an appropriate display. Like 8 inches is a nicer, bigger display, but not too big. It's comfortable to hold. It's got variable refresh rate, good processor, lots of RAM, decent storage with 1 terabyte of storage. It's $900. That does make it one of the most expensive options available when it comes to these PC gaming handhelds. But it is probably the most powerful of the offerings out there right now. The question is, does a 10 to 15% performance bump over things like the ROG Ally X and the Legion Go, are they worth it? Well, let's look at the price. So it's $900. How much is an ROG Ally X? Well, it retails for $800, but it's been out for a while, so it's on sale a lot. You can regularly get these things for, a couple $100 off. The Legion Go is $700 is the MSRP, and it seems like it's on sale all the time. Like, there are times when you can get a Legion Go with an even bigger display for $500. And if you were looking at a $500 Legion Go versus a $900 MSI Claw 8 AI Plus, I don't know that I could justify $400 extra for 10 to 15% better performance. Maybe the thing that might help make that decision easier for you is that increased RAM. 32 gigs of RAM is great if you're also using this thing as a PC. If you're docking this thing and using it as your PC also, that RAM will really come in handy. Do you really need 32 gigs of RAM if you're pretty much just using this as a gaming device? I don't think you probably do, but I'm also never going to be upset about having more memory in any of these devices. So that's the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. Again, we'll have a link to Engadget's review of this device in the show notes. The other big gaming news this week is AMD has launched their latest generation of what I think would be fair to call their mid-range graphics cards, their GPUs. So what do we mean when we say mid-range? We mean that they are targeting the NVIDIA RTX 5070 chips, the cards that just came out. NVIDIA released the RTX 5070 and the 5070 Ti. The cards that we're talking about here, they're the Radeon RX 9070 and 9070 XT. And they're really direct competitors to that 5070 series. So at least you've got the 70s in there to kind of make it easy to know that this is where they line up. So I'm going to link to an article from Windows Central that really does a recap of a lot of reviews from across the internet. But let's talk a little bit about what The Verge says. So The Verge says that the 9070, this one is a little bit less powerful than the other one. The 9070 is 17% faster than the NVIDIA RTX 5070 in 4K without upscaling for the same price. So it is just flat out beating it in the Verge's testing. The 9070 XT, they say, is as fast as the RTX 5070 Ti, and it's $150 less than the 5070 Ti. And that's if you can actually get a 5070 Ti for MSRP. They're practically impossible to get, and they're seeing huge markups all over the place. So there's lots of links to lots of reviews here, but generally what reviewers are saying is across the board, these new cards from AMD outperform the NVIDIA cards in non-ray tracing situations. But if you turn ray tracing on, they're kind of within the margin of error in most situations. Now, not in every single game. Some games are going to work better on one card versus the other. But for the most part, if you've got ray tracing turned on, they're pretty much the same. And these cards either cost the same or less money, depending on if you're looking at the 5070 or the 5070 Ti. They don't compare. Like if you're considering an RTX 5080 or 5090, these cards don't compare with that. The 5080, the 5090, those are the cards that you're getting if you're trying to play games at 4K with max settings and stuff. That's not what these cards are, which is why these cards cost $550 and $600, not $2,000 like an RTX 5090. These cards really hit their sweet spot at 1440p resolution. So that's the resolution in between 1080p and 4K generally. For most games, they're saying this card at 1440p, set the game to max settings, it's going to run great. You're going to get the frame rates that you need, and you're talking $550 to $600. That's still a lot of money. I still think that's a ridiculous amount of money for a graphics card, for one single component of your gaming PC. But in the world we live in, relative to what NVIDIA is doing, it's actually not bad. They're not bad prices for these mid-tier GPUs. So way to go, AMD. Like, we've been waiting for a while to see if AMD could actually catch and maybe even beat NVIDIA in one area, and it seems like they kind of did, especially when you compare the price. All right, what's going on in my entertainment center? I have been looking forward to talking about this because I've been looking forward to this day for a while now. So I'm going to start with the games that I've been playing. Yes, I've been playing some of The Last of Us Part 2. I don't have that much to say about it. Like, it's still really good. I am finally past the really big event that happens early on in the game. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Turns out that the previous time that I'd been playing was, 2 minutes before the really big event that happens early in the game. So kind of a funny place for me to stop and pick it back up. But yes, Last of Us Part 2, still really great. But what was I excited about today? Well, today, the new game from Hazelight came out. It's called Split Fiction. And Hazelight is the studio that focuses on co-op games. Like, they made A Way Out, which Joe DeStasio and I played and live streamed when that came out in 2016, 2017. I don't remember when exactly that came out. And then in 2021, I believe they released It Takes Two. That game was also a blast. We had so much fun playing it. And we were pretty certain that Split Fiction was going to be really good too. And the reviews started coming out yesterday or the day before. And, like the Spawn on Me podcast, their review said, this is the most fun game I've played in years. Reviews across the board are great. IGN gave it a 9. Like, it's getting rave reviews everywhere. So I was super excited to play it. Joe and I took the day off work so that we could sit together on a couch and play some of this game. Now, we weren't able to play all of it because it is a 12 to 14 hour game, but we played 5-ish hours of it and absolutely had a blast. We were laughing so much as we were playing it. it does so many different things throughout the game. It is two characters that are authors who get sucked into the world of their books. And one of them is a science fiction author and one of them is a fantasy author. So you're kind of flip-flopping back and forth between sci-fi and fantasy settings. And every different part of the levels has different game mechanics. It will feel like different games. There are bits that's like, oh, that's paying homage to Assassin's Creed, or that little 10-second part is calling back to Donkey Kong. Like, there's so many fun and unique things that are going on in this game, along with a great story, a fun story. It's just so fun. It is so, so fun. And I cannot wait to play more of it with Joe. If you like co-op games, you have to play Split Fiction. But you have to like co-op games and you have to have somebody to play with, because it is not, you cannot play this by yourself. You have to play it with another person. It's $50 and you might be thinking, but I don't want to buy it twice. You don't have to, because that's another really cool thing about the games that Hazelight puts out. They have what they basically call a buddy pass. One person can buy it, and even if you're playing online, the other person can download the game on their console and get the buddy version of it. And basically, as long as they play with somebody who has purchased the game, they don't have to buy it. So only one person even needs to buy a copy of this game for two people to enjoy it together. And that is, man, we've been talking about a lot of things in the gaming industry that are not very consumer friendly. This is as consumer friendly as it gets. So go and check out Split Fiction. I'm not even done, but I know that you should go and play it because you're going to have a blast with this game. Okay, what about TV? I am up to date on Severance Season 2. Last episode, really good. Paradise, the season finale, came out, I think, yesterday. We'll be watching that on Friday. Can't wait to see how that wraps up. And I did watch a little bit more of For All Mankind, but not quite as much lately. I'm dealing with a stupid running injury, so not as much time on my treadmill lately to catch up with For All Mankind. So that is what's going on in my entertainment center, and that's pretty much it for our show this week. So if you'd like to get a hold of us, there's a lot of ways you can do that. We're on Twitter at Josh Pollard and at DigiMediaZone. Richard is not. He is only on Mastodon and Blue Sky. Richard Gunther on both of those. I am on Blue Sky at Josh Pollard. If you're looking for me on social, please just come to Blue Sky. I would much rather be there than on Twitter. Oof, Twitter, yikes. And we'll get back to doing these shows live soon. So follow us on social to know when we will actually be live. And, we're throwing a lot of these podcast episodes up on our YouTube channel also. So head on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. But that's going to do it for episode 679. I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.